All right, welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. Today I'm really pleased to introduce Junaid Ahmed. He is a UX designer, which is just graphic designer, website designer, turned podcaster. And he did that in order to pursue his passion in documenting his hobbies, like beekeeping, cycling, video production, and tons of other things. So as a hobbyist and as a technology enthusiast, he loves learning and he loves teaching about tech. And he created this podcast, Hacks and Hobby, to explore interesting things that people are doing in their spare time, which is perfect for right now since we're stuck at home, we've got extra time, we don't know what to do. So I wanted to bring Junaid in today to talk a little bit about how his podcast started, but what is he doing in his spare time? So thank you for being here, Junaid. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tyler, so happy to be here and talk about my hobbies and how I started the journey with the podcasting. Thank you so much for giving me the time. And yes, I totally agree. We're spending so much more time at home. And it's like, what do I do with my time? Do I watch, do I binge watch Netflix? Do I binge watch, Hulu and HBO, and everybody's offering free accounts so you can, just binge watch television. But you can also only watch so much television that you like, I'm sick of watching television. Let me do something with my hand. And then there's a lot of people that I hear here that are spending a lot of time in the kitchen because they want to try out new recipes, they want to try new things. I was talking to my cousin, and he's never done gardening in his entire life, and he's gardening in his backyard. He's got like 12 or 15 pots where he's growing plants from the seeds, and I'm like, dude, that's insane. So how I started my journey with podcasting is I was just getting into beekeeping, and I'm like, what? And you must be wondering, why beekeeping? Well, it all came down to 8 years ago. We found out my son was allergic to a lot of different foods, as well as the environment and the pollen in the air. And our allergist, the doctor said, local honey is really good for seasonal allergies. I'm like, that's really interesting. So that got me thinking. And I was like, at that point, we didn't have enough space to keep bees. And then finally, about 2 years ago, we had the space. We had a new home. We had a huge backyard. And I was like, hey, this is a time to get into beekeeping. So what I did is I took a class in beekeeping. And around the same time, I was also reading the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Crushing It. So the reason I jumped into podcasting is I have a passion for creating content. I've been blogging for a while. I've been, taking photos and doing so many different things because my mind just goes in places, and I just want to dig in deep and figure out how things work. So I was like, hey, how about I document my process of beekeeping with yet another hobby as podcasting. So I jumped in, I learned about the technologies, and at the time, all I needed was my phone, was my smartphone, and using the app called Anchor. And this app enables you to simply make a phone call to yourself and record it and then publish it. So it was so easy that I started documenting my journey of beekeeping. So Hacks and Hobbies started with, talking about queen bee. That was my first episode, driving my car, talking about queen bee and what it was all about. So, and since then, it's been such an amazing journey. I met Tyler through that process, and I've met so many people through just learning about their journey and how they're using their side hustles and making that the big deal right now. And today, and for the past week and a half, for the past month and a half, we've been stuck at home, and it's really crazy, and it's the perfect time and we have access to the internet, so it's the perfect time to jump into something brand new that you're like, oh, I wish I knew of something about this, and jump into that and figure out, hey, I really want to know how I can do some woodworking. I want to know, you can do paper mache, you can do origami. There's so many different hobbies available right now that it's just mind blowing. And so that's how I started, and it's been going strong.
Cool. Hey, so The cool thing about your podcast, I listen to it, and Junaid talks to a lot of different people about their hobbies and what they're doing, and how in many cases how they've monetized their hobbies and it's starting to bring in money and things like that. But as
Absolutely.
we're sitting at home right now and kids are thinking, well, I don't know what to get started in, or I don't know what to do. What has
Mhm.
kind of been first, what are some of the hobbies of the people that you've interviewed on the show? List a few of those, and then if you've noticed any themes in how people got started. I mean, for you, it was there was a need. You took a course. You watched some YouTube videos. Is that what most people are doing, or are there other things?
A lot of people are starting in that fashion. They are starting with, "Hey, I have a need for something. I have a problem that I want to solve, or I want to be somebody who wants to be on TV." So one of the guests that I spoke with, he wanted to be an actor, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in corporate job right now." He's a corporate product manager or whatever,
Hmm.
but he really had the passion for going and being an actor. And one day he told his wife, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go be an actor, be an ad, or be an actor or in a commercial." And she's like, "That's never gonna happen." And then he pursued, because he had some experience in high school or in middle school, that he had some theater experience. And he was like, "I've got this. This is not that hard." And he put himself out there and he started talking to the people who are involved. And right now we have to access and talk to people who have these expertise without any middleman, right?
Yeah,
We have access to email, Twitter, Instagram. It's so easy to find somebody that matches what you would want to do. And YouTube is, again, a beautiful platform. At one point, I remember it was 300 hours of video being uploaded every single minute. And now that everybody's home creating video content, I have no idea what that number might be now.
it's high, I'm sure. So I know that you're speaking about the person you interviewed who got into acting, but I know that you've also done some commercials and some acting
Yes,
here on the side. How did that
yes,
start for you? I mean, because you're doing it too.
yes. So how it started for me was, um, funny story. So in high school or in college, I took theater,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Oh, you have to go watch theater and you have to perform on stage." And I was an introvert. I was like, "I'm not doing that." But then growing up, I was like, you know what? I was introduced to, or one of my colleagues, he was like, "Hey, I've been a stand-up comedian for 5 years and I've done this." And I was like, you know what? I've always been wanting to be a stand-up comedian. So he introduced me to this app called Backstage. And he's like, Backstage is cool. They've got, um, they've got casting calls on there that you can pick, and you can apply for them right through the app. You create your profile. I was like, okay. And he's like, "It's just $100." And he's like, I made that money back within a week or 2 weeks because he got a paid gig. So I was like, okay, what am I going to lose? So I I got the process, or I got the app. I paid for the subscription, and I found a few roles that I was like, oh, I could play this role. And so I put in an ad or put myself in running for an ad called, for the Kaiser Permanente. They were looking for boomers, or looking for people who were older. And my wife's like, "You're not that old. Why are you going for that ad?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm just going to give it a shot." So they called me back, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I go in with my wardrobe, and I'm like, "All right, you look good." And then I did the part where I'm pretending to be somebody who has bad knees. And I'm like, I don't need to pretend, because I've been cycling for so long that knee pain is very easily, what's the word, repeatable, or I can access that memory pretty quickly. So I
Hmm.
pretended, and I got paid $100 for that little gig, and that paid off for my little gig.
Hmm. That's cool.
The next one, yeah, so that was awesome. The next one that I got to do acting through the app was, it was a ad for a it's an investment firm, where, so then I had to drive down to, Virginia Beach, about an hour and a half or 2 hour drive, but I get to be a fake husband to this fake wife, and then we were pretending to be on the beach and enjoying this retirement plan. We had a TV son and TV granddad. It was pretty hilarious, and that paid me like $750. I was like, that's pretty sweet. So just that one hobby, just showing interest in taking the path, because all you're gonna lose is, if something doesn't go, you're still going to learn something from it. There's something called the rejection theory, where if you the biggest rejection is ourselves rejecting ourselves.
Right. That's funny. I just today, for the first time ever, I
Yeah.
saw an advertisement for Backstage.com, and I clicked on it because they were doing a casting call for people who wanted to be on the Late Show with James Corden. And I thought,
Nice.
with the quarantine, so you could film it from your house, like with your wife and your kids, and you could send it in, and it's paid. Like you get paid to be on the Late Show. And I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be cool. And so I clicked on, and I saw that, you have to pay for the service. And right now, but they're doing a discount right now too. So if you sign up right now, it's like
exactly
a very small percentage of what they normally charge. And so it's funny that there are opportunities right now. I mean,
absolutely,
just today.
absolutely.
So that's really cool. What are some of the other things that you have started doing just in recent years as you've started developing new hobbies and trying new things out?
Absolutely. Some of the other hobbies that I got into. So I've been a huge cycling fan, or I've been cycling, since I was a teenager. And then I never really biked a road bike till like 2016. My sister said, "Hey, I'm doing a 40-mile ride in New York City, come join me." And then there were like 30,000 people for this event. So we drove up, all my entire family. We rented a bike there. And initially I had bought this bike. I was like, I'm going to take this bike up there. But apparently the bike that I bought was for time trial, which is a very specific type of bike. And you're in a very aggressive position, and you can't be doing a long type of ride on this kind of bike. So I ended up renting a bike. And when I rented this bike, this was so light, so amazing. I was like, I fell in love immediately. So I did the 40 miles that day. It took me about maybe 5 hours. It was raining. Both my knees were hurting. I couldn't walk because it was so cold, and it was just a crazy experience. And I came back and I, bought a bicycle. And then at one point, my wife, we were at some wedding, and my wife's friend was like, "Hey, my husband is also a cyclist, and he just joined a group." So I was like, I'll join the group too. So 2017, I did like 1,500 miles of bike riding because I was with a team. And when you're with a team, when you're with people that are doing similar things, it's so much easier because you get motivated, you get engaged, and that's been really great for my my health and my energy. And even though it's crazy out there, you could still go out and ride because the roads are practically empty. There's nobody going to be chasing you down. So yeah, that was the second thing that I got into. So beekeeping, cycling, and then video production is another thing that I got more into very recently, because as so before I even got into acting or jumped into acting, I was always behind the camera, and I was shooting videos. We had done some short films back in 2016. I did some behind the scenes video for a TV series back in Colorado, and I was just really blown away from all of that. So those are the few hobbies that I'm focusing a lot more on in the past few years.
Yeah, that's cool, because the hobbies that you've adopted are things that most people can start doing right now. Now, obviously not everyone can keep bees and things like that, but even I just bought a road bike, my first road bike. I just bought at the beginning of this whole COVID thing. I was like, oh, I need something to get out of the house. So I bought a bike and have been riding on that. And a lot of these things, podcasting, YouTube, doing video production, even kids, teenagers can easily do that stuff with their smartphone and get started, and you can watch videos on YouTube. It's amazing. One of the things we just started a few weeks ago, again, because of COVID, we've been thinking we want to do this for a long time, and now we have chickens. So
Oh, nice.
we got a chicken coop and we're raising chickens now. And I didn't want to. My wife and my kids did, but they finally talked me into it. They're like, well, we're going to need those eggs. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities right now with
Exactly.
COVID-19 that we are home. We can be creative.
Yeah.
We can start new things. What's to all those kids that are home and they're wondering how to get started or what they should do? Do you have any advice on just how to generate ideas and get started in trying something new?
Absolutely. So some of the social platforms that we are all connected to, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, you will see people that are posting content. They're posting content about how they're making money or how they're using this time. So those are really great sources because it's easy to consume. What you want to do is create content or create, you know, go deep, like really deep into your own hobbies or your own passion, because that's where it shows your authenticity and shows, you know, that you are a real human being and you're not trying to fake it to make it anymore.
Right.
Right. So we're in the time that you don't need to fake it to make it anymore. There's no middleman that's going to block you. We have immediate access to technology, immediate access to other folks that are doing things. And you know what's funny is that if you find somebody inspiring and find somebody who is doing exactly what you want to do, they'll be more than happy to help you along the way, because mentoring is something so powerful. It's enabled because people who are in this space, who are content creators, they didn't get there because they have money. They got there because they had the passion, and they just took that first step of asking the question.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing about right now is not only are people willing to mentor, but most of them
Mm-hmm.
are home and want to give back, but also have
Yes.
more time. I mean, I've seen that with this project, with this virtual school assembly. People who
Yeah.
would never talk to me before now have a reason to give back. They want to. And it's been way easier to get a hold of people. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of opportunity with that. If you reach out, whether it's be through social media or
Yeah.
otherwise, a
Yeah.
lot of opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. We have a lot more time, and all the late night hosts, they're shooting all of their stuff from home.
Hmm.
And you know, they're spinning it up. Like for example, John Krasinski has this Some Good News, a show going on, and he's never been on TV before. He's all, you know, he's always been on TV shows and stuff like that. So like that's pretty interesting that he just, you know, a lot of actors are coming out and doing this thing. Um, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he is posting on Facebook on a daily basis as he's working out. There's Tony Horton, who's the host for, or who's, he basically has a show on, not the show, but the 90, what's it called, the P90 or the P90X and Power 90. It's a workout program through Beachbody. Every single day he's showing up online and he has 300 people watching him and working out with him. So it's really a great time. I mean, um, it's really interesting that this kind of thing enabled for us to come closer together in this fashion. Even though we're socially distancing, we're mentally coming closer together.
Absolutely. Well, Junaid, thank you so much. I mean, now's the perfect time to have you on the show, given your background and
Yeah,
with your podcast. We'll link to Hacks and Hobbies in the description below. If
perfect.
anyone else wanted to get a hold of you in any way, where's the best place to send them?
Yep. So they can go to hacksandhobbies.com. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram through Hacks and Hobbies. So any place is perfect.
Perfect. All right, we'll link those up. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.